Here we go, checking in live action radar now on Oklahoma City, getting and feeling the brunt of our major winter storm system. Socked in pretty good with the snow at this time. Winds whipping around out there for us as well, and those temperatures stuck in the lower teens. Not a very fun morning, not a morning for a commute, that is for sure. And we're going to keep it pretty nasty through the afternoon hours. Again, very, very strong winds are going to be possible out there for us. Those temperatures.
We're taking you into Chicago right now, and that is where meteorologists Mike Bettis and Al Roker are located. We'll get to them at the bottom of the hour. Look at the winds. That is the worst of the problem that we're seeing right now, but that's a picnic. I told Bettis and Al, you guys are having a picnic right now, relative to what everyone else is dealing with, but what is headed your way? We're talking 2 feet of snow in Chicago. And it's all coming from the south central region. We want to have a closer look at what's happening into Dallas. NBC's Charles Hadlock is joining us live now. And Charles, from what I understand, there are flights arriving into Dallas but not taking off. Do you have any added information about that?
Well, the airport at DFW has reopened. It is the world's third largest airport, but American Airlines has now canceled 800 flights out of DFW and 1,400 flights across the country. So it's a major travel delay just because of this ice and snow here in Dallas-Fort Worth. As you mentioned, we are coated with a light coating of freezing rain topped with sleet and then a dusting of snow. And people from Pittsburgh and Green Bay who are here for the Super Bowl must be wondering what the fuss is all about. Well, we're just not used to this kind of weather here. Today is a big day in Dallas-Fort Worth with the Super Bowl activities at the Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. It's press day where the teams get to meet with the press. That's happening today. The text dot.
Right now, blizzard warnings are in effect for 9 states. Heavy snow and crippling ice affecting millions of people across the Midwest. Plus, we've got a threat for tornadoes in the Deep South. That's coming up.
The Weather Channel is your winter weather authority. We have live team coverage of this epic winter storm from Oklahoma City to New York City. The Day Planner starts right now.
And good morning to you. Thanks for joining us for this extended edition of Day Planner. What a day today. I'm Carl Parker.
And I'm Heather Tash. And Old Man Winter is here with a vengeance. More than 30 states are under some sort of winter weather advisory. Now, that includes 9 states with blizzard warnings.
And let's take a look at the storm's impacts that we mentioned. Tens of millions of people will be affected by this storm. Heavy snow, thick ice already creating a travel nightmare in parts of the plains, and the effects of this storm will be felt from the heartland all the way to the Maine coast.
Now, we are the Winter Weather Authority, and we have crews, as we said, that are set up to cover what could be a historic storm. Mike Seidel and Eric Fisher setting up in St. Louis. Jeff Morrow is live from Oklahoma City. Adam Berg is in New York City. Mike Bettis and Jim Cantori are both in Chicago.
And a total of 236 counties across the U.S. in for blizzard conditions. Chicago, Illinois, among those who could see up to 2 feet of snow. We go there live now with Mike Bettis. And Mike, the record for Chicago set in 1967, may be a lower total than what we see out of this storm.
It's amazing, Carl, because that was a 23-inch snowstorm. It was a record-setting blizzard that just absolutely brought Chicago to its knees. This one may go bigger. It's hard to fathom. Now, we've got 274 trucks here in Chicago that can handle that. In addition to that, another 27 smaller plows that they use for some of the narrow streets. And in addition to that, they can do what they call a quick hitch, put 200 plows on garbage trucks, which would give them over 500 vehicles to keep the city streets clear. They're going to have their hands full, all 500 of them, because of how heavy the snow is going to come. Chicago, a little obscured because of a little bit of a light snow that we've seen this morning. This is not the big show yet, though. That's going to happen much later today. Lake Michigan, it's frozen over. You can see how we've got a coating of ice up on top here, right? We're expecting 12 to 14-foot waves near the shore, which just means a lot of this ice, especially in the thin spots, is going to break up, and then the water will go over Lakeshore Drive, where the cars are flowing pretty nicely right now. So we've got some flooding issues in addition to the flat-out snow, wind, and temperature concern. Now, let's talk specifically about what's going on out there. As Carl was alluding to, 9 different states are under blizzard warnings right now. That does include Illinois, where non-essential travel is discouraged right now. All the moisture is coming from the south to the north. Chicago is going to be in the sweet spot. There are going to be multiple locations where we get anywhere from, say, half a foot in a location like central Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, upwards to 2 feet plus. Peoria, Chicago, over toward maybe Toledo and Detroit. Large cities that are going to be hugely impacted by this. Carl, I've got my handheld anemometer with me. I want to show this to you real quick. The top number there, the wind has been gusting as high as 45 miles per hour, generally been sustained around 20. The bottom number you see on the screen there is the wind chill. It's been down in the single digits all morning long. Guess what? It's only going to get worse from here on out, if you can believe it. Schools are in today. May not be the case tomorrow, though.
Just an incredible storm. Mike, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again many more times before the day is through. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radar picture right now and show you what this storm is doing. There's a severe side to it as well. Heather's going to talk more about that in a moment. There is now a tornado watch in effect. Channel, of course, your winter weather authority. You can see a video of some of our more than 100 meteorologists briefing on the storm, deciding where exactly to place our teams so as not to put them in harm's way, and trying to figure out exactly what type of precipitation is going to come down and how much of it we'll see. And our most recent forecast indicating 2 feet of snow for several locations across the Midwest, with a tremendous amount of wind on top of that, gusting to 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. And for that reason, we're talking about a major blizzard that is going to absolutely snarl traffic. Hopefully people will not be on the roads. This is primarily happening tonight in Chicago and through the overnight hours. I want to show you the radar picture right now. You can see the heavy snow that's been coming down there in central parts of Missouri. A lot of reports of quarter-inch visibility with winds gusting up into the 20s, in some cases the 30s. It's actually gotten a lot windier farther south and west near the upper level low in Oklahoma, though the snow is winding down. Winds now gusting up to about 40, 50 miles an hour, and that has made visibility awful and travel very difficult indeed. In Peoria, we're looking for up to 2 feet of snow. It's probably going to be about a foot on the high end there in Kansas City. As we get you farther northward, again, we're talking about incredibly windy conditions all through this region. That's happening now in the plains. Will spread up through the Midwest. Look at that in Chicago. There you go. 2 feet of snow plus potentially the greatest all-time snow we've seen on record in Chicago. 23 inches. This could top that. 24 inches also possible in Fort Wayne in South Bend. In Detroit, we're looking for about 12 to 18 inches of snow. So a very healthy snowstorm. One of the greatest snowstorms we've ever seen across the Midwest, and it's not going to stop there. It will continue across the lakes, get into the interior part of the Northeast, talking about 2 feet potentially in Binghamton, a foot and a half on the high end there in the Capital District, Albany, and about 8 to 12 in Boston. This on top of the snow that came down recently, so certainly it's going to be very difficult to clean things up in that region. But you notice how it cuts off rather dramatically in Pennsylvania and New York, so we're not going to see that much at all in New York City. Here's a look at the computer model. We'll show you how this all takes shape. Again, the storm continues to wind up. You see the tightly packed isobars. That's the wind, and then it makes its way into the Northeast going into late tomorrow and then on into Thursday as well. Also ice, a major problem. Could be an inch of ice centered around central Indiana, back down into southern parts of Illinois and into parts of Ohio, and we may get some pretty good icing there in New Jersey and Pennsylvania as well. So that's certainly something we're going to be watching out for. Let's get more now in the extended forecast. Here's Heather with that.
Carl, what a winter it has been for so many of us. A lot of folks are crying uncle. They're ready for all of this to be over and done with, but we're still looking at a lot of action coming in tomorrow. Now, of course, we are watching areas of snow and those very strong winds, so we're looking at blizzard conditions. We're going to still be seeing that in areas like Chicago, toward Detroit, also Dayton, so really rough weather. I also want to point out, even where it looks very quiet here across the plains, we're talking about wind chill values in areas here like, say, Bismarck, ranging towards, say, Duluth, Minnesota. We're looking at those running from about 30 below to 40 below. When you have wind chills like that, it's extremely dangerous. You don't want to get caught outside under these conditions. We're also looking at some ice here working in across Pennsylvania, and we'll be seeing some snow to the north. Still a little bit of wet weather to the south, but generally the south settling down. And then Thursday, a lot of us just kind of get to breathe a sigh of relief here. but we're going to get right back into some action across the south. A few showers Thursday, but much more action as we work our way into Friday. We also follow some snow showers coming in across the Midwest. Not a big deal for us, but these two will join forces and work their way into the Northeast on Saturday. Sunday, of course, is Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully a lot of you will be inside enjoying the game. However, if you are out and about, keep in mind we do have some more snow coming in here across the northern Rockies. You're going to see some of that working on into the plains as well. And then Monday, a lot of action again with some snow. And what's real significant is with this snow, some very cold air is coming down across the country that will continue to build in as we go through the week. So we already know that we've got cold air in place right now and very brutal winds. It's giving us some very dangerous wind chill values. That'll continue tonight into tomorrow. Thursday, a little bit of a break. You can see some warming coming in. We'll see more of that as we go into Friday. So there's the good news. That trend continues into Saturday. But then watch what happens here on Sunday. We start to see some of that colder air coming down. That is going to dive down across the country, and next week could be brutally cold. Carl?
The Weather Channel is your winter weather authority. You can keep checking with us on air and online as we...
These are scenes from the Department of Transportation out of Oklahoma near the Tulsa area, and you can see white is everywhere. We've had whiteout conditions across the region. Blizzard conditions have been reported with those winds in excess of 40 miles an hour. And I'll tell you what, the wind chills, some 15 below zero. So very, very active weather.
I'll be honest with you, I did work for you guys and have gone through many a storm, and I have never seen a snowstorm like this. And I've traveled to the very snowiest of states, and there's more than 2 feet on my back porch, and it's just not even halfway done.
All right, thank you, Jorma. Here it comes, Chicago. Right now, the snow is continuing to move in and blow around in winds that are sustained over 30 miles an hour with gusts to at least 35. The wind chill is down into the single digits. We'll continue to see this snow pile up, and we may get as much as 2 feet of snow. This will be a history-making storm.
Absolutely, some 2 feet of snow in Chicago, and also a part of our live team coverage. We have Janelle Klein. She's not too far from Chicago in Lafayette, Indiana, where we've had mainly icy conditions and sleet and freezing rain. And what problems is that causing, Janelle?
It's causing a lot of problems, Nick and Vivian, one of which, of course, is driving, because there's about an inch of ice on the roads and freeways, so people having a tough time getting around. People also having a tough time flying in and out of Indianapolis, although the airport there says they have been able to keep one of their runways open in order to allow both takeoffs and arrivals, so that is good news. But this storm is getting worse. You might be able to hear the freezing rain and sleet that's hitting my jacket and hitting my microphone, and the wind is picking up. It's getting so strong out here, really a big change from this morning when there really wasn't as much wind. So we know that this storm is getting stronger, and that's of great concern to people here in this area who are worried not only about the ice, but also about the fact that they may lose power. A storm 2 years ago knocked out power to thousands of people, some of them for nearly 2 weeks, and there's a big concern here that that could happen again. So we're seeing a lot of people out being prepared for that, getting generators, getting extra supplies, getting groceries, because they know that they may be in their homes for some time, especially if we get a lot of snow here. And you guys, what's interesting, there's been an awful lot of snow. Some parts of Indiana have seen 75 inches already this year, and some of that has come just in one day. There was one storm, Nick and Vivian, where they got 26 inches in a day. So a tough winter already, and this storm could be one of the worst in state history.
I totally believe it. Thank you very much, Janelle Klein, from north central Indiana around the Lafayette area, again, where we've had sleet and freezing rain and snow on top of that.
Tell you what, we're covering this storm from all angles. Live crews out in the field from here in the studio. We got our experts on board as well. And in the Digital Media Center, our own Samantha